Hey, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's seeing this right now. We're gonna see it shortly. Hope y'all are having a beautiful Shabbat, a Shar Shabbat to everybody. If you're observing Sabbath, if not, hope you're having a good one in the spirit. So today's gonna be the first day of something the Most I put on my spirit to do. It's gonna be called a chapter a day keeps hashatan away. It's gonna be the first one, and we're gonna go over Proverbs chapter 25. Most High willing, be able to do these every day, and just to give y'all a little bit of edification. They're not gonna be as long as our normal lives are, because as some of y'all know, some of them get to 2, 3, 4 hours. This one will probably be. This series is probably gonna be 30 minutes to an hour, the longest, just to give y'all some edification on a more daily basis. Right. So we're gonna start off as always by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, whose name is Yahweh in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. And we do so in the name of his only begotten Son, our Messiah, our Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, so you want to say anything to open up, Ak?
Khan. Yeah, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. Also to Wada for allowing me to come on the platform you have built to do the work for the Most High and to keep scriptures top of mind so that we could stay rooted in the spirit and stay following these laws and commandments to the best of our ability, because these are definitely trying times. As we were talking right before the live, the Most High Spirit is kind of pouring out His Spirit on all of us in a similar way. So it's good to be on one accord. So yeah, the water for allowing me to be on your platform.
Calm, most definitely. It's like the scriptures say, can no man can build on any other foundation than the foundation which is already built, which is our Messiah, our Mashiach Yahushai, right? Which is the word in the flesh, right? So that's what we're building on. And all praise to the Most High for that. Kwam Yasharala, Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to go ahead and get started in Matthew. Before we get into the Proverbs 25, the chapter real quick, we're going to read a couple of scriptures.
Khan, this is Matthew 24 and 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
So this was Yahweh Shai saying that there was going to be a great tribulation, which Christians or the Christian church likes to call it the Great Tribulation or the Tribulation Period. But the Bible calls it Jacob's trouble, right? If you read Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, if you read Matthew, the 24th chapter, Luke, the 21st chapter, 2nd Ezra 15, 16, so on and so forth, it calls it Jacob's trouble, right? And it says this time of tribulation is going to be worse than has ever been since the beginning all the way to the end, right? So everybody who's waiting for things to go back to normal, it goes completely against the scriptures, right? If you read in Second Ezra's or in Jeremiah 30, it says that things in the end times are going to get worse and worse, like a woman in travail, like a woman about to give birth, right? So when a woman's about to give birth, it doesn't just okay, the pain goes away and then she gives birth. It gets worse and worse and worse until that baby comes or until our Messiah comes symbolically, right? So when you look up the word tribulation, it's going to say things like sorrows, pain, suffering. This is what's coming, and these are the times that we're coming into, right? So if you could pull up Luke 21 and 36, Brittany Russell, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. I watched your videos earlier. All praise to the Most High.
I don't know, praises. Khan, is it showing up on
This
there?
is the
I
time that we're
post.
coming into. It's not showing up on mine. Not.
Yeah,
Let me
see
see.
if it shows
Okay.
up.
No, that's Kingdom Minded. I've been trying to contact you. Yeah, Salakia. I haven't been on. I'm not gonna be on Instagram for a while. You can message me. You can email me. Can you direct message on YouTube, Rock? I think I've asked you before. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I don't think you're able to. Let me see if I go to your
Here's
page.
my email address. You can see. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can direct message. If you find a way to do that,
I don't
I
think
might
you
be able
can.
to see it. If not, that's my email address. Yeah, I don't think you can either. All right, so I'm trying to post up the verse. Can you see it there, Ak, or no?
Yeah, I got you. It's there
There it
now.
goes. Okay. So
Uh,
so as we said
this is,
in Matthew 24,
go
Salakia,
ahead. Go
as we said in Matthew 24, the time of great tribulation is the time we're coming into right now. And Salakia, if it sounds like we're talking over each other sometimes, there's a delay in between our two streams because I have a slow connection, and I'm not sure about the brothers might as well. So go ahead, Ak.
This is Luke 21 and 36. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
Khan. So the first thing it says is to watch. We need to be watching the signs, watching all the prophecies that are coming to pass, right? Watching the news, not so much the mainstream media, because they're not going to tell you what's really going on, but watching all these things that are happening and praying always, like First Thessalonians 5 and 17 says, pray without ceasing, praying always, that we are accounted worthy to escape these things that are going to come to pass, right? All these evils, all the tribulations, all the trials, the mark of the beast, right? The time of temptation that's going to come upon all the world. So, like, according to Revelation, all these things that are going to come to pass, we need to be praying that we can escape all of these things. Can you hear me, Ak?
I can. It starts to freeze a little bit.
Yeah, let me turn off my camera. Maybe that'll.
I put a precept up for everybody who's still live. First Thessalonians 5 and 17, which says pray without ceasing. So just as the brother was talking, that's something that we have to keep in mind, regardless of what your circumstance is to always be in prayer, fasting if possible, things of that nature. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape. So that should be amongst the things that we should be doing to um to kind of give us that fortitude, especially when you're in prayer. It's easy to get in a habit of praying the same things. We should be preparing our prayers, as much as possible, so that we can direct our prayers to the Most High. Take time to prepare your prayers, think about what you want to pray, make sure you include that. But it's also a good thing to pray without ceasing. Let's see if the Ak is still on here. Can you hear me?
Con, can you hear me?
Con.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Salaki about that. Hopefully that'll go a little quicker without my mic on or my without my video on.
Con.
Right. So if you want to go ahead and pull up the first like maybe three verses of chapter 25 of Proverbs, Baba Kashaw.
Con.
So Khan, like you said, praying always without ceasing. Like I've said many times before, in the morning, like before I even open my eyes, sometimes I'm already in the habit of I'm already just start praying for another day of life, right? For to be guided in truth, to prosper in that day, right? Read a quick chapter. One of my go to chapters is always Psalm 91. If you don't have time, say you got to get up and get ready for work, listen. You can listen to scriptures on your phone, like I know the brother Jomar does as well. You can listen to a whole chapter or a couple chapters while you're getting ready, right? Just to keep you in the spirit, and and then just praying throughout your day. Like I'll be working outside, whether it be cutting trees, cutting yards, planting things, and I'll be praying or listening to scriptures. Right. This is one way that you can always stay in the spirit, even if you're out in the world physically. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Proverbs chapter 25.
Con. This is chapter 25 of Proverbs, verse 1. These are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter.
So it says, these are the Proverbs of Solomon when Hezekiah was the king, right? The men that worked for him were copying out, just like nowadays we they copy Bibles and they sell them out or they give them out, right? There's a lot of organizations that give them out for free. This is what was going on back then. And it says, it is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. So the Most High conceals a lot of things. When you go into the Bible, a lot of people think it's just another book, but in reality, it has a lot of dark parables and or dark sayings and parables, things that you have to really shed light on and go precept upon precept, line upon line to get the real understanding of what it is, right? So it's an honor of kings to search out these matters, to find out what they actually mean, right? Go ahead.
Verse 3. The heaven for height and the earth for depth, and the heart of kings is unsearchable.
So just like you can't search out the height of how high heaven is or how deep the earth is, no matter how much this system or Esau tries to do it, you can't figure it out. It says the heart of kings is unsearchable. So like Proverbs 23:7 says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So your heart is your mind, right? When it says the heart of kings is unsearchable, so think about it like the Most High or Yahushai or Messiah, how they say he's the King of Kings. There's only one above him, right? The Most High. Could you ever search out the things of their heart? No, there's no way we possibly could, right? Um, let's go ahead and keep going.
Verse 4. Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer.
If you could get Sirach 2 and 5, Baba Kashag,
Come.
Sirach 2 and 5. So it says, take away the dross from the silver. Dross is it's like impurities, right? So if you have some silver, what do? They melt it down to make sure that all the impurities get taken out of it, right? And then it says, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer, a finer or a refiner, someone who refines metals, right? So just like in Jeremiah, like in Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, all these books, they compare the Most High to the potter, and we are his clay, right? He can control us, he can mold us to whatever he wants us to be. Now, this is comparing people like if we're silver, right? It says, take away the dross or the impurities, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer, or the refiner being the Most High. So let's get a precept to figure out exactly what it means.
Con. This is Sirach chapter 2, verse 5. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable man in the furnace of adversity.
So just like silver, gold is tried in the fire. They put it in a melting pot, right? They refine it, and all the impurities get purged or melted out of the gold or silver. So just like they do that to gold, acceptable men or women of the Most High or have to be tried in the furnace of adversity, meaning you're going to have to go through adversity, trials, temptations, things, tests that you have to pass in order to be accepted by the Most High. It's just like if you're in a martial art, you got to take a test to level up and get to that next belt. It's the same thing with the Most High. It's like in Acts chapter 22, I believe, how it says, through much tribulation will we enter into the kingdom, right? We're all tried and we're all tested, and these trials and tests are going to prove whether or not you're worthy of making it to the kingdom.
This is Daniel
You want to
chapter
read that
12,
precept
verse
out?
10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
You want to go ahead and break it down, right?
Most definitely, just like the brother was saying, in order to actually be able to overcome adversity, you have to go through adversity and know how to react to these actions. You know, if we're applying it in the real life world, um, I've prayed for patience, but when I've been presented the opportunity, that's the answer to my prayers, because then I've been tested, and then it gives me the skill set in the real life to actually overcome those situations, to be patient. So that's just one example, but there's many different examples where you're going to be put through situations that are going to put you in front of the mirror to actually assess who you truly are and be tried in that fire. Then you'll be purified and made white. Then that's how you overcome adversity. Temptation is another big one. So when you practice that it's almost like an endurance of not giving in to temptation, becomes easier and easier, but only through that purification process of going through adversity.
Con, most definitely. And I like how you said that, like looking in the mirror. That's why in James, I believe it's the third chapter, where it says it's like a man beholding his face in a glass or
Mhm.
in a mirror. And
Con,
a lot of times that's what happens. The Most High puts you through something, and then when He puts you through that situation, and I've talked to many people that say this. You go through a situation and you know it was the Most High, right? He does something for you, or He gets you out of a situation, and then it's like you look in the mirror and you go about your day and you forget what type of man you are, is what it says, and you just forget about all those things that the Most High did, right? So we can't be like that, and we have to remember, to an extent, those trials and those things that we went through, that we were proving ourselves, as to not forget, like, hey, the Most High has been doing a lot for me, right? And that goes along with having a spirit of gratitude at all times in order to be purified, right? So going back to, if you want to read verse 4 one more time, Baba Kashaw.
con. Take away the dross from the silver, and these shall come forth a vessel for the finer.
So once you take away the dross or the impurities, the more and more you start cutting out these impurities from you, the sins, like the brother said, you stop giving into temptation, you stop giving into laziness, you stop giving into all these things that's against the Most High. Then you're gonna come forth as a vessel for the finer or the refiner, the Most High. Now He can really start to use you. Now He's like, okay, I can really start giving this person more wisdom. I can really start giving them more grace and more blessings, so that I can actually use them. right? There shall come forth a vessel for the refiner. Now he can start using you more and more. Because it's like, imagine if me and the brother Jomar are over here trying to teach, and then on the side, we're over here smoking weed and fornicating and doing all these other things. That would be an abomination to the Most High. He wouldn't even want us to be speaking his name. So after you start taking away the dross, the impurities from yourself, then you'll be a vessel that can be used more and more by the refiner. And that's something that a lot of brothers have asked me in the past. Well, I really want to start teaching and I want to start doing this and that. But you have to understand that you can't be a false balance. You can't be out here teaching the word of the Most High. And at the same time, you're over here committing all these sins. So you have to first start purging away that dross, those impurities, and then you'll be able to be a vessel used by the Most High.
Con. This is verse 5. Put not forth, Salakia, take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness.
So, like it says in Revelation, the first chapter, Israelite men that are following the word supposed to be like the kings of the earth, right? So through sin, we put ourselves low spiritually, even physically. We're under the curses, and we can't be in that way, especially in a spiritual sense. So when you take away the wicked from before the king, his throne shall be established in righteousness. Now, this can also mean physically, right? Back in the days when they had kings. But when you look at it more from a spiritual aspect, when an Israelite man is supposed to be a king, as a matter of fact, if you want to pull up Proverbs 31:3, when you
Con.
take away wicked people from around you, the water, when you take away wicked people from around you, it's going to be easier, way easier to be established in righteousness, right? Because we know evil communications corrupt good manners. Just like when you have a fruit and you put it next to one fruit that's rotting, what's going to happen to that good fruit? It's going to start rotting too. So, in order to be established in righteousness, you have to remove or take away the wickedness from around you.
This is
This
Proverbs
is one of
chapter
those.
31, verse 3, Salakia. Give not thy strength unto woman, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings.
So, this is one of the ways that can bring wickedness or stop us from being established in righteousness. A lot of men that are coming into the truth or are in the truth, trying to walk in the truth, they give their strength to women, whether that be in a relationship and you let her rule over your household, whether that be you give strength to a woman just by being on the internet and you're trying to live righteously, and then you see a woman and now you're in a lustful spirit. You just gave your strength, your spirit, up to that lustful spirit of a woman, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. And giving your strength to a woman or to anybody is going to end up destroying you as the king that you're supposed to be. You want to add anything to that, Op?
I don't know. I definitely agree. Um, that being the perfect analogy, the giving the strength unto women, is not just in a sense of like contentious women who might rule over the house, but more so you're doing it. You don't have to live with that said woman. You could like the biggest example was the one you gave. When you're on social media or whatever wherever you may be, that you allow whatever spirit to like the spirit of lust to actually get the best of you. That's giving your strength unto women. And I know we've had conversations where you've had to not you but like flee from the face of a serpent, flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. Like literally get out, literally break yourself away from that, break into prayer. So yeah, give not thy strength unto women, which is really simple when you look at it, but it could really, you could really look at it from a lot of different aspects.
Most definitely. Because think about it, like even it cannot, it doesn't even have to be just women, because like it says, Proverbs 25:5, take away the wicked. The wicked could be anybody, right? It could be just you're hanging out with old friends and you fall into old spirits and old habits, whether it be smoking weed, whether it be stealing, whether it be fornicating, whatever the case may be, right? But we just give that as an example because we know for most men, their biggest trial or their biggest adversity is women. They'll fall victim to women more so than a man. I mean, look at Solomon as a perfect example. Was the wisest man to ever walk the earth besides Yahushai, and what was how did he fall away was through women, right? So it's not just about wisdom, it's about living out that wisdom and being able to rule your spirit, which we're going to see in the last verse of this chapter. But if you want to go ahead and pull up like the next 5 or 6 verses out.
Con,
So kingdom minded 144, I wake up and read book of Psalms. That's a good thing to do. um we pray for something and forget that the Lord is going to test us for it. We can't just, it's like, think about it this way. I tell people this all the time. If the Most High has given you something already, right? Let's say he gives you a child and you're not even taking care of that child the way that you're supposed to. You're not teaching them to respect their parents, their elders. You're not taking care of them. You're not seeking protection for from the Most High for them, right? You're not keeping them away from wickedness, and then you go and ask him for all these other things. You already know he you don't deserve it, right? It's like if I give my child, if I give Noah a basketball and he pops it the first day, he goes and does something dumb and he pops it, right? He doesn't take care of it, or he goes and throws it in the street and someone runs it over. Tomorrow, when he asks me for something else, I'm gonna be like, you didn't even take care of what I just got you yesterday, right? So there's always tests and there's always things that the Most High looks at, right? He's not just looking at, okay, they're asking me for this, let me do it. They kept Sabbath last week, right? It's all about our walk as a whole, and that's why it's so important to keep 2 Corinthians 13:5 in mind, and always be examining ourselves, right? And the things that we're doing and not doing.
con. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 6. Put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men.
So if you could get Luke 14:11, Baba Kashaw.
Con.
So it says, put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. So now back in the days, like we were saying, you always have to look at it from a physical and spiritual aspect, which we've said almost in probably a bunch of the lives that we've done. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at it from the physical aspect, back in the days, you wouldn't want to just be like, hey, I need to speak to the king. I want an audience with the king, right? You don't want to put yourself forth in the presence of the king unless it was something really pressing or something very important. Because if not, you could end up getting killed. You could end up getting thrown in jail, into slavery, whatever the case may be, right? And stand not in the place of great men. It's like if you don't belong there in the presence of the king, don't do it. But think about it this way: there's a lot of men, which I won't even say from certain camps and things of that nature, and just men by themselves that act as if they are going to be in the presence of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. They act and speak, and some of them even say like they are going to be in the kingdom of heaven, right? It says, put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. And some of these same men even say, I am, or this brother, or we are these great men of old in the flesh reincarnated. I am John the Baptist reincarnated. This brother is Elijah the prophet coming back, right? It says, stand not in the place of great men. There's people that are literally trying to stand in the place of these great men and saying that they are these men. When if you read Ecclesiastes, it says there is no remembrance of the former things. Even if you were that person, there's no way that you could even know that, right? So let's keep, or if you want to go ahead and read Luke 14 and 11.
This is chapter 14, verse 11. For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted.
So when you exalt yourself and put yourself up like you're this great and wise person, right? Eventually, the Most High is going to abase you. What is a base? It's a bottom of something. He's going to put you down at the bottom. But if you humble yourself, you shall be exalted, right? This is why Yahweh Shai said that in, what is it, Matthew the 5th chapter? He said, the meek shall inherit the earth. He said, the first or the last shall be first, and the first shall be last, right? Some of these same people that are thinking they're going to be the first in the kingdom of heaven are going to be the last or going to be not even making it, right? And that's all because of being prideful, right? So let's go ahead and if you want to read 6 and 7, Baba Kashad.
Put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. For better it is that it be said unto thee, come up hither, than that thou shouldest be put it lower in the presence of the prince whom thine eyes has seen.
So we just started the lesson with Luke 21:36, which is something like I said you should always pray for. It says, pray always that you're accounted worthy to stand before the Son of Man, right? The Prince of Princes, the King of Kings. But when you really think about it, he's the Son of the Most High, right? So if we have the ability, imagine in those days, we get to stand in the presence of Yahushai, right? Don't you think it's better rather than us saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be right next to him. I'm up here with him," and then he puts you down. Oh no, no, no! This brother was more humble and more meek, right? It'd be better for you to be meek and humble and not expect nothing, and then he calls you up and here's your crown, like it says in Second Ezra's, right? It would be way better to just be moving in that humble and meek spirit, and for that to happen, because like we just read in Luke 14 and 11. The humble are going to be lifted up, and those that are prideful are going to be put down, right?
Verse 8. Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame.
If you could get Sirach 4 and 29, Baba Kashad. That's one of my favorite verses on hastiness. It says, go not forth hastily to strive, especially with social media being what it is. A lot of people are very hasty to strive and be contentious. Actually, like me and you were just talking about before this, right, Ak? You were like, man, I wasn't trying to be contentious or nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not supposed to be so we're not supposed to be hasty or quick is what hasty means. You're too fast. You need to hold your horses. You're jumping the gun is what it means. To strive, to argue. Like when you see a post and you automatically comment on it, oh, this, that, and the other. And you didn't even think about what you said.
Khan. This is Sirach 4 and 29. Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss.
When you're too hasty in your tongue, or in your deeds, writing that comment or that text real quick, you're being too slack and you're going to remiss. You're gonna miss the target. You're gonna miss the facts. You're gonna miss what you actually meant to say sometimes. Right? So going back to this, it says, "Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame." So one of the first things that comes to mind, that somebody people are always hasty to do this. If I post something of my son, or like the brother from Fringed Out 777, Tyrone, he has
Yeah.
the same problem. One of his children or a couple of them, they look light skinned, right? And
Yep.
there's always someone real hasty. We post our children, and then, oh well, that looks like an Edomite. Okay, but look at the parents. Now look at the grandparents. Now look at their grandparents. If we would have showed you our parents, just their picture, you would be like, oh yeah, that's an Israelite, just based off of skin, just based off of appearance. But it goes off the seed of the father, right? So when you're making judgments hastily like that, a lot of times you get put to a shame, right?
Proverbs 25, verse 9. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another.
If you could pull up Proverbs 18 and 15, Baba Kashag.
Con.
So it says, debate thy cause. Oh, you know what, Salak? It's Matthew 18 and 15. Matthew 18 and 15.
18,
Debate thy
15.
cause with thy neighbor himself. Himself. Again, see a lot of these issues that we're dealing with nowadays is because specifically because of social media, which is why me and a handful of people that I know are actually fasting from social media right now. And that's I truly believe that's the most high putting the spirit on all of these people to do it at this exact moment, because we need to concentrate on what's really important, right? But like I'm saying, debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself. Because of social media, a lot of times it's like, I'm gonna debate with this brother or sister right here in the comments, and everybody's gonna see that I'm right. Let me see how many likes my response got. You see how many look, they're commenting, they're agreeing with me. But this says, debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another. Right? So a lot of times it's that spirit of pride that gets you to debate people, or always want to be in a contentious and debateful spirit with your brother, instead of going to them. And I've done this many times, more times than I can count. Somebody disagrees, and I'll message them, hey, look, if you want to talk about it, or here's some scriptures, whatever, verses, blah blah blah. And the majority of the time, from experience, I don't know about you, Og, but the majority of the time, they don't want to debate in private. They don't want to talk about it in private.
Con. Yeah, most definitely. Or if they do, it's simply contentious. I think I was telling you about an interaction I had about somebody who came at me about because I posted the Paleo Hebrew and how to say Yahweh, and somebody came at me and called me ignorant and a bunch of other stuff, and all I really could reply was thank you, I'll thank you for going out of your way to try to edify me. I appreciate that. Bless you. That's all I really replied with. I kept saying bless you, and he kept coming back, and I was just like, all right, man, you just want to argue.
Con, and you can tell after a certain period of time of talking to them that that's all they want to do, right?
Con.
So if you want to go ahead and read Matthew.
This is Matthew 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother.
So the same thing when somebody does something against you, offends you, sins against you, whatever the case may be, the first thing you're supposed to do is go and talk to them alone, right? And if they will hear you, then you have gained your brother. Now later after this, the next couple verses, Yahushua goes on to say that he will go ahead, or if they won't listen, then you can go ahead and get some witnesses. And if they won't listen to with the witnesses, then you can go to the whole church. But the first thing you're supposed to do is go to that brother or to that sister alone, between just you and them, right? And try to gain your brother. You there? So the brother's frozen on my end. If y'all can still hear me, let me know in the comments. Baba Kashaw. Can you hear me, Ak?
Khan, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Con, I can hear you now. Okay, the water, Brittany said yes. So if you could get Proverbs 17, but you know what? I'm on it right here. I'm gonna read it real quick. It's Proverbs
Khan.
17 and 9. It says, "He that covereth a transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends." So he that covereth the transgression seeketh love. When you're covering, let's say someone does, let's say the brother Jomar does something to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna cover that transgression because I'm seeking love. I want to keep the love between us as brothers. I'm gonna forget about it. I'm gonna tell them, you know what? Don't worry about it, Doc. We all mess up, and I forgive you, and I hope the Most High forgives you too. Right? He that covereth the transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth the matter separateth very friends. So let's say we're very good friends, but I keep repeating that matter. Me and him are cool and we're chilling and blah blah blah. And then he says something, and I'm like, yeah, well, remember that one time when you stole from me, or oh yeah, remember that time when you did this? And then later on, I just keep repeating it, right? That's gonna separate us as friends. It's gonna separate friendships, and that happens a lot. That happened to me all the time in when I was in the world. I don't know about you.
Khan. It's happened not a lot, but most definitely have had some repeat offenders, and that's usually how that goes.
Con, it separates friends, like the scriptures say, right? So let's go back to Proverbs 25 and 10.
Lest he that heareth it put thee to shame, and thine infamy turn not away.
So it says, discover not a secret to another, lest he that heareth it put thee to shame. So we've all had so-called friends or family members that hear a secret, right? Or and they repeat it, and then that makes you infamous in a way, right? It says your infamy turn not away. It brings shame to you. Everybody knows you as the person that did that now, right? And that's why the scriptures say that I believe it says a faithful witness will keep a secret, something to that effect. So if you want to pull up the next about five or six verses out.
Khan.
So this brother said, I'm definitely going, Khan, I definitely going a 30 Instagram fast. Khan, I'll praise the most high. If that's what he puts on your spirit to do, then that's what you gotta do, because it's like it says in Hebrews, the most high gives us signs and wonders, right? That's how he speaks to us a lot of times. And if that's what he's speaking to you, you gotta act on it. Most High has given many, many brothers and sisters signs, whether it be through dreams, whether it be through people doing or saying certain things, and they don't listen to those signs, and they end up getting punished for it because they're ignoring the voice of the Most High or the signs of the Most High.
This is Proverbs chapter 25, verse 11. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver.
So when you're going through something, right? A lot of times, like in Wisdom of Solomon, I believe it's 16 and 12 or 12 and 16. I think it's 16 and 12. Oh, it says the word healeth all things. A word fitly spoken, say you're going through some type of problem, and somebody and the brother Jomar gives you the perfect verse to go with it, right? It was a word that was fitly spoken. It was perfect for your situation. You're like, man, that's exactly what I needed to hear. That's exactly what I need to do. And it's according to the word of the Most High, right? And that helps to heal whatever you're going through. That word that's fitly spoken is like apples of gold or pictures of silver. So if I offered any of y'all an apple made out of pure gold, I know y'all are gonna take it, right? You're gonna go sell it. That's what I would do. Melt it down and go sell it or something, right? That is a word fitly spoken.
As an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear.
So as an earring of gold, I used to have some little gold earrings, tiny little hoop gold earrings, an ornament of fine gold, right? A lot of people, especially back in the days, and you would even in what is it, Song of Solomon, how he said they would wear a lot of fine jewelry and gold, right? Most people like that type of thing. It says, so is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. If me or the brother Jomar are having an obedient ear to the Most High, and a wise reprover comes to one of us and says, "Hey, Ak, you were doing this, or you taught that, and check out these precepts. It actually means this." Right, or like the example, you remember the example I gave you the other day, Ak, with the brother Danya Allah,
Um, oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
whole Miss Piggy thing.
Yep.
So he reproved me in a sense that I didn't even see it from that angle, but I was like, you know what, you're right, right. And I said, Tawada, I said, thanks for the correction. So a wise reprover to an obedient ear, someone who's obedient to the word, is gonna sing or is gonna see and that reproof as gold or as a good thing. We're gonna be thankful for it because we're really just trying to be obedient to the Most High, right? As opposed to somebody else who doesn't have an obedient ear to the Most High, and they're gonna be in the prideful spirit of, nah, you can't correct me. You're not my elder. I've been in the truth longer than you, etc., etc.
Proverbs 25 and 13. As the cold of snow in the time of harvest, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him, for he refresheth the soul of his masters.
So as the coat of snow in the time of harvest, imagine you have a bunch of crops. Most people don't grow food anymore, right? But imagine it's harvest time. All your food is done. All you got to do is go and pick it, right? And now there's some nice cold coming in while you're gonna go and pick it. You're like, man, I don't even got to be in the heat. My crops have already harvested, right? That would be a good thing. That would be like a blessing. It says, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him. So if you think back in the days again, the physical representation, if a king sent a messenger, the reason they would send messengers is to deliver very important messages. It could be I'm sending this messenger. You need to go talk to them. Tell them they're gonna come attack. They need to come and back us up. If that messenger is faithful and he gets that message over there, it could be between life and death. They show up in time. They protect their city, and now guess what? The enemies, they take off, or they're destroyed, they're killed, whatever, right? But also, so that could refresh the soul of the king. But then also, when you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, what is an angel? An angel is a messenger, right? So a faithful messenger, if the Most High sends you to send a message out, right? Or see, like he's doing to many people right now. Okay. As a matter of fact, if you can get Luke 15 and 10,
Con.
so if the Most High sends you to do a message, to send a message, right? I know we've all been in that situation, like we talked about before, where you're like, man, I could say this right now, or this scripture is perfect, and you don't do it. And then later on, you're like, shit, man, I should have said that. That would have been the perfect verse, or that would have been the perfect moment, right? When you do it, you're getting that, you're being a faithful messenger, right? And you're refreshing the soul of his master. The Most High is pleased with that. And the angels are pleased with that when it brings someone to repentance, like it says here in Luke.
15 and 10, it says, likewise, I say unto you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner that repented.
So they're in heaven, there's in the presence of the angels, they're all they are all in joy when they see one sinner repent, right? So when you're being a faithful messenger and you send that message from the Most High, from His Word, and you never know, it can get that person to repent. Like the brother Jomar was telling me a story about this brother he was talking to, and he told him about pork, and he was like, "Man, I didn't know that can get you sick." If that brother or that person repents of it, then that is pleasing in the presence of the angels of the Most High over that one person that repents, right? So that's why we have to try our best to be a faithful messenger at all times, whenever the Spirit makes us feel to do so. You have anything you want to add to that? Out?
Con. Um, no, it's a beautiful scripture. It should actually motivate each and every one of us to want to be that faithful messenger. To want to um, be a part of that chain, to be a part of that ministry, that to bring the truth to someone, to bring someone to repentance. That's a really beautiful scripture to encompass what that would be like as far as a result of our faithfulness of bringing this truth out.
Calm, most definitely. And there's also a reward to us as well if you do that. If you want to get James 5:19 and 20, because when you convert somebody or you help to bring that one sinner to repentance, not only are you helping convert the sinner, but you're also, the Most High covers a multitude of sins, is what it says, of your own, as we're going to read right here.
This is James 5:19. Brethren, if any one of you do err from the truth and one convert him, let him know that he which converted the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death and shall hide a multitude of sins.
So when somebody is going off, or they're erring from the truth, or they don't know about the truth, and you help convert them, not only are you converting that sinner, right, and trying to save him from death, but you're also, you shall hide a multitude of sins. Not that you're trying to hide it from the Most High, but the Most High is gonna be like, you know what, this person converted this person, they were being a faithful messenger. So now though, these other sins, these multitude, right? Notice it says multitude, not just one. These other sins over here they committed, I'm gonna go ahead and forgive that. I'm not gonna punish them for that because they're doing my work and they're bringing people towards me, right? So let's continue in Proverbs.
Proverbs 25, verse 14. Whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain.
So if you could get Proverbs 11 and 1 out, show.
Come.
So whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain. So yesterday there was some big old flash flood warnings and all this stuff over here where I live at. And shoot, man, if let me tell you, over there where we used to live in Los Fresnos, we had to go over there yesterday. Man, it was flooded up to like in on some streets, cars were like halfway underwater. There was just a whole bunch of water that came down in a couple hours.
Dang.
It was
How
crazy.
far away
But imagine
from
all
where
those
you live?
probably about 30 minutes.
Okay. Huh.
And here it's cool because the street that's in front of where we live, in front of the property, on the other side of the street it's a flood zone. So they got inches and inches of rain. But here on our side we're good. We just got a few puddles.
Count all praises.
Con, all praise. So it says clouds and wind without rain. Now before that, those storms started coming. I remember I was telling my rib, I was like, yeah, you could smell it. Like in the wind was picking up. You could see all the clouds and you could smell the rain in it. Now it says, whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain. So imagine seeing all these clouds and all this wind and then no rain comes out of it.
Hmm.
That's how people are with a false gift. Like there's some people that say they can prophesy and they can do all of these things and heal, but when it comes to works, when it comes to their deeds, you can tell that that's a false gift.
Proverbs 11, verse 1. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight.
So that's an abomination to the Most High. It's like all of these Christian pastors that say they can heal people and can take out all these different things, and they're making people faint and they're talking in tongues and all of this stuff, and it's a false gift, and that's a false balance, and all of those things are abominations to the Most High. Right? He would rather you just be regular old Joe that can't you can't heal and you can't prophesy all, or you can't see visions and you can't do all these interpretations of dreams. But guess what? I'm following the commandments to the best of my ability. He would
Hmm.
rather you just be that and be a just weight. He would delight more in that.
25 and 15. But by long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone.
So by long forbearing is a prince persuaded. Forbearing is basically patience, right? Takes in everything in life, it takes patience. Anything good, you're gonna you're gonna need patience, right? And a soft tongue breaketh the bone. Now that doesn't mean like literally, but when you have patience, right? And you if you went up to, if I went up to the brother Jomar and I was like, hey Hawk, you need to come move down here. Things are all hell's about to break loose. Like come down here, Hawk. Like just do it. Come on, move. And then he's like, all right, well I'll think about it. I don't want to be hasty. Let me going back to the hastiness we're reading. Let me pray about it. Let me see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk to the Most High, read some scriptures, blah blah. And I'm like, nah, come on, just do it. Like you have to do it. Like now, come on. Or you're not gonna be able to stay with me unless you do it right now. Right? That's not being patient. And also having a soft tongue, like talking to the brother in the right manner. We all know different people require different ways of speaking, right? That is way stronger. That's going to have way more effect and be a stronger way of speaking than being hasty and being pushy and being even prideful at times. So it says a soft tongue breaketh the bone. It takes a lot of strength to break a bone. It also takes a lot of strength to be patient and to speak softly sometimes. All right. So if you want to get the next about 5 verses out, Baba Kishore, um, Kingdom Minded 144. What happens if we ignore the signs? So the sign, if the Most High gives you signs, and I can speak from experience of what brothers and sisters have told me. Certain sisters and brothers have told me, "Hey, I had this happen. Do you think it's a sign from the Most High?" Oh, most definitely. I mean, how could it not be? Don't you feel it's a sign? Yes, I do. And they don't follow those signs, and then what happens? They get punished, right? It's like the scriptures say that when man seek only rebellion, then an evil messenger will be sent amongst him. That evil messenger can be a person with a bunch of spirits on them, and that's the messenger that comes to you. That evil messenger can be one of the evil angels, because remember the Most High has the angels on the right hand and on the left hand. But bad things is what's gonna happen, right? I got an important question to ask once this at the end, Khan. So just stay to the end, Doc, and we're already what more than halfway through this chapter. Go ahead, Doc.
Con Proverbs 25, verse 16. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled wherewith and vomit it.
Man, so this is one of my probably this one and the last verse. This verse 24 and 28 are my favorite ones in this chapter. If you could get um let me see. I got a bunch of precepts on this, but we'll just get a couple. Proverbs 24:13
Con.
and Revelation 10:10. Proverbs 24:13 and Revelation 10:10. The water. So it says, hast thou found honey? The honey, what is it talking about when it says honey? Honey is sweet, right? First of all, everybody can agree with that or has that basic knowledge. It says, eat so much as is sufficient for thee. Eat however much is good for you to eat, right? Lest thou be filled therewith and vomited. So while the brother gets those verses, I'll give y'all a real world example. When I was teaching jujitsu to children a few years back, there would be up to like 40, sometimes even more kids in the class. And the very first class I ever taught them, I remember I was too excited to teach, and I showed them about 10 moves, like 10 of my best moves, and they all loved it, and they were like, "Man, that was awesome. You taught a guillotine choke, a triangle choke, a arm bar, a sweep, a takedown." And then the next day, they came back, and I asked them, "Okay, who wants to demonstrate this move?" And then all of them, well, yeah, you do this and that, and they were mixing up moves. They didn't know what they were doing, right? I gave them too much, so they couldn't. All they remembered was a whole bunch of nothing. They were mixing up different parts of different moves. So this is the same thing with the word, and we're gonna get a few precepts, and then I'll explain it more fully.
Con. This is Revelation chapter 10, verse 10. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter.
Calm. If you can get Proverbs 24:13, not 24:13, Baba Kashaw.
Oh, it's
So it says, I
24?
took the little book out of the Khan, Salaki. I don't know if I said 14, but it's 24:13.
Con.
So it says Revelation 10 and 10, and I took the little book out of the angel's hand, What is this little book? It's the word, it's the Bible, right? And ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. So think about this for a second. When you first start coming into the truth, what was the first thing you learned that started bringing you into the truth, Doc?
For me, it was the history. Um, I used to be like a huge history buff when I was like, just I've always thought it was interesting, and just seeing how it actually matched up with scriptures, um, that was so interesting to me. Aside from the spiritual aspect of it, everything was just making sense, and it was like a forest fire.
Con. Con. So when you say the history, do you mean like Northern Kingdom history matching up with the Bible, or
Yeah.
con? Okay,
Uh,
so that's how most people come in, right? They find out they're an Israelite, right? And that's sweet. That's like, oh man. So wait, my history matches up with the curses in Deuteronomy 28. That means I'm an Israelite. I've been living out these curses in my life my whole life, and that's sweet to them, right? I could make it to the everlasting kingdom of heaven by following the commandment. That's sweet. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. But then you got the bitter things. Man, now I got to be set apart. Now I can't hang out with these people. Now I got to end these worldly relationships. Now I can't smoke weed. Now I can't do the things I want to do on the Sabbath, right? All these other things that you would see as bitter when you're first coming into it, when you're first eating up that book, right? So it says, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. All right. So now if you want to read Proverbs 24.
Con. I was just putting a precept up, but I'm gonna read it right after this. So Proverbs 24:13 says, "My
Okay.
son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb, which is sweet to thy taste."
Khan. So when you're eating of this honey, you have to eat of the honey, right? You have to be reading the word and eating it up daily, like it says in Psalm 1 and 1 through 3, like it says in Joshua the first chapter. We have to be doing this. But you had a precept out. Let me see. Let me go back down.
I can pull it up. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 7:7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. More so, I wanted to pull out the top of that. Surely oppression make a wise man mad. Um, it's good to eat the honey. It's definitely the way that we come into the truth, and it's something that draws us near. Even to this day, when you're getting rooted deeper and deeper, it's good to go back and refresh and always stay in that spirit. However, when I came into the truth, it was like, okay, that's so crazy, like I always learned about the Israelites, but I didn't really have that much knowledge. And then understanding that and coming into this truth,
Khan.
it's like, hey, hold up, like, dang, look at our people, look at the condition we're in. And at that time, like we had all the I live in Arizona, so we have the border right here. So it was like, man, we got all these kids in cages over here. I've always lived out the curses here, we like being profiled, things of that nature has always been a common occurrence. And then it started, like the bitterness aspect of it, oppression makes a wise man mad. um it was an upsetting fire, a righteous, I guess you could call it a righteous anger, but it was just justified in a way, which is that bitter part of that honey. You find out you're an Israelite, that's amazing, it's like winning the lottery. However, with being an Israelite, you have to understand, we've been living out these curses generationally, and now it's time to put in that work.
Khan. Most definitely. And I could definitely attest to that because like I told you, like, we moved about 30 minutes away from the city we were in, but we're still only like maybe 12, 15 minutes away from the border. So exactly the same things you see is the exact same things we see all the time. You know what I mean? And that is that bitterness, seeing your people go through curses and being in the low spiritual and physical condition that they're in, right? Let's go
Con.
back to verse 16. If you want to read it one more time, Bakshaw?
Con. I'll read it throughout all 25 and 26. I'm sorry, 25:16 through 17. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited.
If you could pull Sirach 40 and 26. 40 and 26, please. So this says,
Con.
Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited. So just like the example I gave, when I taught all those different kids like 10 different moves, and the next day it was too much. I filled them with it too much, and they were vomiting out all these different moves mixed up together. It's the same thing. There's brothers and sisters that I'll check on sometimes, and I'll be like, "Hey, did you read today?" "Oh yeah, I read these 3 chapters, or I read this chapter of this book." And I'm like, "Okay, what did you get out of it?" "Oh, well, something about being righteous, and something about the king, and I don't know, wisdom of Solomon." And they're just vomiting it out. It was too much honey for them, right? It's better for you to read a chapter and say you get 3 precepts, like this what we're looking at right now, Proverbs 25:16, and we've given y'all like 3 different precepts. It's better to grasp this one concept and apply it to your life than to read 3 or 5 or 10 chapters and you just don't remember any of it and you don't apply any of it, right? All of that knowledge is not going to help you unless you're actually grasping it and remembering it and applying it. So I've heard some brothers say you need to read at least 3 or 5 or 10 chapters a day. Not for everybody. Some people can do that, especially when you're reading like the old accounts, say it's in like Kings or Chronicles, things like that, history. But when it comes down to parables and proverbs and things of that nature, it's sometimes it's just too much honey. And that's something that you need to examine for yourself, and that would be on a case to case basis, right?
Do you want to read Sirach 40 and 26?
If you could read this one first, and then we'll get to that one.
Con. Proverbs 25:17. Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee, and so hate thee.
So withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house. Let's say if just for example, I know it would never happen. If the brother Jomar said, "Can I go stay at your house for a weekend?" And I say, "Yeah, of course, come on." And I'm feeding him, and yeah, you go ahead, take a shower, whatever. Whenever you're hungry, get from the fridge, whatever, right? And then a weekend turns into a week, and then that turns into a month, and then that turns into a few months, and then that turns into a year. At some point or another, I'm gonna end up having some type of hatred or grievousness towards the brother, especially if he's not helping to provide or put food on the table in some way, shape, or form, right? And this is definitely something that is a big problem nowadays amongst this generation of people that are just lazy, man. They're flat out lazy, and they don't want to work, and they don't want to provide, and they don't want to do nothing, and they'd rather live off their mom or their friend or whoever, right? Anybody but themselves.
This is Sirach chapter 40, verse 26. Riches and
And Salaki,
strength
I
lift.
think
Salaki, what was that?
Salaki. I think I gave you the wrong precept. Salaki,
Uh,
it's lagging, but I think I gave you the wrong precept. If you want to get Second Thessalonians 3:10, and then I'll find the one in Sirach. I thought it was 40:26, but let me find it real quick.
it's all good.
Missy 76, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom,
Too
Paul.
much.
I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Mignon, Shalom, and Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So if you want to read that precept, and I'll get the other one real quick.
On. This is Second Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 10. For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. Like the brother was saying, contributing. Um, sure, there's that saying in the world where you say, you give him an inch, he gets a mile. Um, Most definitely, when you're in a position to help somebody, you do it out of the sheer love, the willingness to help. However, their spirit not might not be aligned with your walk in righteousness. Therefore, if he's staying there, like the brother said, a week, if I'm just there chilling, he's watching an edification video, and I'm like, hey, hold up, I saw this funny video, and I just changed the channel on him, just kind of invading that space. That could definitely harm the relationship, especially if you're not contributing. So, if any would not work, neither shall he eat. That's like that scripture the brother brings out where it says that he that doesn't provide is worse than an infidel. So that's a really good scripture.
Khan, if you want to get that out, First Timothy 5:8, and it was Sirach 40:29. I got it right here, so I'm just gonna read it.
Come,
So it says, Ecclesiasticus 40:29, the life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. That's the first part of the verse, right? It says, the life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. That's a deep cut to a lot of so-called men out there, right? If you're
mm-hmm.
depending on somebody else's table, the Most High says your life is not even counted as a life, because the Most High made us to be men, right? He made us to be men and to provide for our families, like this other scripture says, but at the very least, provide for your own self, right? If you're depending on somebody else to pay your rent, to pay your water, to pay your light, to feed you, what are you doing? Like, what are you actually providing for? You're not providing anything for yourself, right? So I'm gonna read it one more time. Sirach 40:29 is the first half. It says, the life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. You want to go ahead and read that precept out?
First Timothy 5:8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his house, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel.
You want to break it down? Out?
Most definitely, like the way that this is perceived, if you're not able to, if you're just chilling, not providing anything to your household, you are considered worse than an infidel, somebody who does not believe of the faith, somebody who does not keep this walk, this path. That is only if you don't provide for yourself. So we've had several lives where we're talking about husbandry, ahead. And if you're not doing that, or when you are given the opportunity to do that and you don't take advantage of it, you are you are considered worse than an infidel.
Khan. And yeah, like the brother said, we've done multiple lives on that, so we won't get too deep into it. But Basically, if you're relying on somebody else to provide for you or your family, you're worse than somebody that doesn't even believe. Because at least they're not claiming to believe and they're not following the role that the Most High has given to you as a believer. Right?
Con,
So let's
I
keep
I
going.
have a Salakia. I don't mean to harp on it, but would you consider,
Go ahead.
um, especially with what's going on today in the world, a lot of people are in the position to rely on the shadow of Egypt. Um, would you consider that being the same exact thing? I mean, I personally would if you're not doing anything, but just kind of a precept to that.
Con, most definitely. I mean, the more we come into all these things that are happening, we're gonna see how much a man can really provide. And if a man is relying on Egypt fully right now, then what's going to happen when Egypt pulls out from under his feet, so to speak, that rug of security? You know what I mean? A man or anybody for that matter.
Con.
So we lost a brother. I'm sure he'll be back uh pretty soon. I know his connection was going in and out. So we're gonna keep going in Proverbs 25 and 18.
Salakia, can you hear me?
Shalom. Can you hear me out?
Con.
Khan, if you want to go ahead and read that precept.
Proverbs 25 and 18. A man that beareth false witness against his neighbor is a maul, and a sword, and a sharp arrow.
So someone who bears false witness against his neighbor is a maul, a sword, or a sharp arrow. If I got mauled, if I got a sword against me, slashing me, or if I got an arrow in me, what's gonna happen? It's gonna hurt me, right? If you want to get Proverbs 12 and 18 out,
Con.
and I'll get First John 3:15. So this is saying someone who bears false witness against his neighbor is just trying to hurt his neighbor and is hurting his neighbor, right? So this is First John 3 and 15. It says, "Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him." Right? When you bear false witness against your brother, it's because you dislike or despise or hate him, right? And that's why it says when you bear false witness against them, it's like a sword or an arrow. You are trying to kill them with your words, whether you realize it or not. And by doing so, you are considered a murderer, and murderers have no eternal life abiding in them.
Proverbs 12 and 18. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health.
Right. So, like we said earlier, when somebody's a word that is spoken fitly at the right time, that tongue that is bringing wisdom can bring health. But there's also people that speak like the piercing of a sword, words that hurt you, right? Or how they say in the world, sticks and stones break my bones, but words don't hurt. Words do hurt. Words do hurt people. You could say something to somebody 20 years ago and they'll still you see them 20 years later and they still remember what you said to them, right? That saying is not true. When you bear false witness against your neighbor, your tongue is like a sword or a sharp arrow or a maul, and you're trying to kill your brother or sister. You're trying to kill their reputation. You're trying to kill the spirit that they're in, whatever the case may be. You want to add anything to that, Art?
No, I think you got it.
Okay. Go to verse 19.
Verse 19. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint.
So this is one of my favorite verses in this chapter. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. So let's say I give you a candy apple and you got a broken tooth, and you put confidence in that broken tooth and you bite right into that candy apple. What's going to happen?
You'll break that tooth.
You're going to you're going to break that tooth. It's probably going to stay stuck in that apple, or pieces of it are going to stay stuck in it, right? If you put confidence in a foot that's out of joint, let's say your foot is no longer in the joint, or your shoulder is out of its socket, right? If you put confidence in your foot that's out of joint and you try and run full speed on it, your foot is going to turn sideways. You're going to be running on the bottom of your shin, right? That's the same thing. That's what the Most High is comparing, putting confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble, right? Going back to how the brother had just brought out 1 Timothy 5 and 8. If a man can't provide right now that times things haven't really gotten that bad, how much worse is it going to be in the times of Jacob's trouble? Think about that. If a man, you're putting confidence in a man that's leading you into sin right now, how are they going to do in Jacob's trouble? You're going to put faith in that person? Like, of course not, right? That's why Isaiah 13 and 12 says the Most High is going to make a man more valuable than fine gold. Only a faithful man is going to be like that, right? And that's hard to find. Proverbs, I believe it's 20 and 6. It says, "A faithful man who can find." But that's the type of men that are gonna have confidence. I could tell you in the most humble way, not being prideful, that my family will have confidence that I'll be able to lead them in that time. And that's what every man should be striving for, right? You want to add anything to that?
You good.
Okay, let's keep going. Got what, eight or nine more verses.
Proverbs 25 and 20. As he that taketh away a garment in cold and Salakia, as he that taketh away a garment in cold weather, and as vinegar upon nitre. How do you say that, Salakia?
I believe it's niter. It
Niter,
means a wound or a cut.
Khan. And as vinegar upon niter, so is he that singeth songs to an heavy heart.
So if I took away your garment, your clothes, your coat in the winter, how how bad would that be? It would be horrible. If I poured vinegar on an open wound you had, right? That's the same as someone who singeth songs to a heavy heart. So let's say you're going through something, someone just passed away, and I come over here and I start singing Bob Marley, "Don't worry about a thing, every little thing's gonna be all right." How's that gonna make you feel? Let's keep going. Oh, Salakia. You want to pull up the next few verses out,
Yeah,
Baba
yeah.
Kashaw? Oh wait, is it there? Let me see. Khan, if you could pull it up.
Khan.
So this is a verse. This is one of my favorite verses in this whole chapter. I'm gonna read it one more time while the brother pulls up some more verses from the chapter. It says, "Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint." There's a lot of people that may be in a financially good position right now, right? There's a lot of people that maybe they stocked up food or water, or any of those types of things, they got land and they're growing food and all these things, you still can't put confidence in them if they're unfaithful. They're not a man of faith, right? Because like it says in Hebrews 11 and 6, without faith, it's impossible to please the Most High. So nobody who isn't of the faith is the Most High just going to let get away, right? He's only going to be with those that are with him. He loves those that love him, right? So just something to keep in mind. So let's keep going.
This is
Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 25, verse 21. If thine enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink.
So like how you said, how that brother, and this has happened to me many times too, when brothers come and have contentions against you and things of that nature, and it's like how Shai also said, bless them that curse you, right? You can still, and I've had that happen many times to me. The somebody happens to just be contentious and going against me, and then I'll give them the bread of life. I'll be like, just send them a few verses, right? I could tell that they're thirsty, and I give them that living water, and they're still just talking. I mean, for lack of a better term, they're talking shit, and they just want to be contentious and be contentious. You can stoop down to that level, or you can give them that bread of life. You can give them that water, the living waters to drink, right? And that's more of the spiritual aspect. Of course, the physical aspect is very would be very easy to understand. But let's see why you do this. Let's read the next verse.
For thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee.
Because when you do this, it's gonna heap coals of fire upon his head. In other words, you're gonna tear him down even more by, in a sense, helping him out instead of trying to destroy him, right? It's like if you hate, like for example, like if you hated me, right, and I hated you, and then one day I come to you and I'm like, hey man, I'm poor, I don't got nothing to eat. You think you can spare some money for me and my family? And you know already, like, man, this guy's talked so much crap about me. We've even maybe gotten to a fight before, and now he's coming. And then in the back of your mind, you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And you help me out. And in the back of my head, I'm like, shit, man, I can't believe I had to ask this dude for money to feed my family, and now he's feeding my family, and that just heaps coals of fire upon my head, right? And
Uh,
and it says, and Yahweh shall reward thee. The Most High is gonna see that and be like, you know what? You didn't take matters into your own hands, because vengeance belongs to me. I'm gonna reward you in one way or another, right? So let's keep going.
the north wind driveth away rain, so doth an angry countenance a backbiting tongue.
My rib gave an example of this. The north wind driveth away rain. So say there's a big storm, right? And the north wind comes and it pushes those clouds away. So doth an angry countenance a backbiting tongue. My rib is one of seven, and she would say when she was younger, she remembers that like some of her brothers, sometimes they would be talking all crazy, disrespectful to their mom, and she would just give them that look, that angry countenance, and man, they knew like they better not say anything else. It turned away their backbiting tongue. They got quiet real quick. You know what I'm saying? But also, you could look at it like the Most High. When you know the Most High, you know the things that anger him, right? Sometimes I don't know about you, but there's been some times where I'm like, I'm already catch myself saying something, and I'm like, you know what? That's the Most High is not gonna like that, or I shouldn't be saying this. That's like I'm giving him an angry countenance just by even fixing my mouth to say these types of things, and I'll stop. I'll catch myself dead in my tracks and just stop. You know what I'm saying? To look at it from a more spiritual standpoint. But again, that comes with having the word in your heart. The more of these verses you have in your heart, it's like we've talked about many times out how you'll be doing something, or you see something, or you hear something, or you see something in the news, you see people doing something, and these verses just start popping up in your head because you have the word in your heart.
No, definitely. Con. This is Proverbs chapter 25, verse 24. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman and in a wide house.
Um, if you could get me Proverbs 19:13,
Con.
Baba Kashaw. So it says, it is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop. It's better to live on the roof, right, than to live with a brawling woman in a wide house. You could have a huge house, but anytime you see that woman you live with, she wants to argue, she wants to be contentious, she wants to fight, she wants to bring up all these crazy things, and there's no peace, right? It's better to live in the corner of a housetop.
Proverbs 19, verse 13. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping.
So a foolish son is the calamity of his father. Imagine your father has a good reputation amongst men. Let's say maybe he even has a good business, and people do business with him, or something like that, for example. And then you have a foolish son, and this son goes out and is doing all kinds of wickedness. Maybe he's in school and he's stealing from people, beating up kids, doing things he's not supposed to. And now they don't want to do business with him, right? Just as an example. Or how, like it says in Proverbs 22:6, you're supposed to train up your children in the way they should go, right? And when they're older, they won't depart from it. If you don't train up your children and they end up in jail, right, then it's going to bring shame to you and to your name. And that's why it says in the book of Sirach that not to praise a man until, how does it go? Not to praise a man because he will be known in his children, right? The way that my children, imagine all my children, I got 4 children. Imagine they all grow up to be abominations, right? But people judge me as righteous, and oh, he teaches the word and lives by it, and this, that, and the other. And then all my children end up to be wicked as hell. Well, then I wasn't really teaching them, right? Then I wasn't trying to keep my house in order to the best of my ability. Because if all of them end up wicked, then that's not just by a coincidence, right? And the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. So imagine you here on your roof. We used to live in a mobile home or a trailer a while back, and you could hear the water on the roof, right? When it was raining, you heard that continual dropping. Now imagine there's some brothers right now living with a wife that's like a continual dropping, and they cannot get that continual dropping to stop,
Hmm.
right? She's just going off and going off and going off and talking and talking and talking crap, and he never has no peace, right? As a matter of fact, can you get Sirach 22? I think it's 22:5.
22 and 5 con.
Con 22:5. Right? And for sisters, you should not be that contentious wife that's a continual dropping, right? Just contention after contention after contention. Well, why'd you do this? Well, you want to eat that, but I don't want to eat that. Well, why didn't you do this? Well, and you just keep going and keep going, right?
This is Sirach chapter 22 and verse 5. She that is bold dishonoreth both her father and her husband, but they both shall despise her.
So women being bold, boldness is not how a woman's supposed to be. No matter what anybody says, that is a trait or a character of a man, right? So when a woman is bold, and we have a lot of bold women out here in the world, even so-called in the truth, a lot of bold sisters, right? That's the opposite of being meek. That's the opposite of being, um, I was just saying Titus, being chaste and being not being all out there, right? And when you do that, you're dishonoring your father and your husband. And think about it this way: if your father ain't in the truth, he's not really going to care too much. But the Most High, the Heavenly Father, that's who you're really dishonoring, right? That's who you're really dishonoring. And that's why in Titus 2, it says that you're supposed to obey your husbands and love your husbands so that the word of Yahweh be not blasphemed. Because you're dishonoring the Most High by dishonoring your husband. Because again, that's the role that you're supposed to play according to the Most High, and you're not doing it, therefore you're dishonoring them both. And it says, but they both shall despise her, right? So let's keep going.
Proverbs 25 and 25. As cold waters to a thirsty soul, so is good news from a far country.
So if you're thirsty, walking in the desert or something, and you get some cold water, you can imagine how good that would be, right? So is good news from a far country. So in the physical aspect, again, let's say you are a king or something, and a messenger brought good news from far off, right? But then you can look at it like from a spiritual aspect too. If you're a thirsty soul, right, and you get them cold or refreshing waters, which the word is the water, right, the living waters. So is good news from a far country. I don't know about you, Ak, but like in a few of the churches I would go to before I was in the truth, they would call the word of the New Testament. They would call it the good news. Have you ever heard that?
And have
So imagine that it's talking spiritually. So is good news from a far country, right? The good news they call that in certain churches and religions, the New Testament, right? So the word, who is the word? It's Yahushai, and from a far country, he was from afar off, right? Like the scriptures say. So as cold waters to a thirsty soul, so is the word, so is Yahushai. When you have that thirsty soul and you finally get the word and the true understanding and the meaning and walking in the spirit and those sorts of things.
verse 26. A righteous man falling down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring.
So imagine I'm trying to live righteously, present myself as living righteously, and then I'm amongst a whole bunch of wicked people, right? And I'm falling down, and now they see me smoking weed, and then they see me over here fornicating, and then they see me over here breaking the Sabbath, and then they see me eating a pepperoni pizza, right? That's a troubled fountain. Like Yahushua said, "He who believeth on me, as the scriptures say, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water." Meaning, you're gonna speak the word, the true doctrine. But when you're living wickedly and you're falling down, and you're still trying to speak this word, you become a troubled fountain. You become a corrupt spring, right? And at that point in time, if you find yourself doing that, you shouldn't even be trying to preach the word at that time.
Hmm.
Like they say in the world, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You got to fill yourself back up with the spirit. You got to get right with the Most High, stop falling down, and then you can try to be that fountain again, Most High willing. Then you can start trying to spread the word again, right? You want to add anything to that? Art?
I think you nailed it out.
Okay, con. 27.
It is not good to eat much honey. So for men to search their own glory is not glory.
So again, going back to the whole honey thing, right? It is not good to eat much honey. Now it can mean the word, of course, but this can be with anything, right? Like all throughout the scriptures, it says to drink wine in moderation, right? Anything can be good in moderation, right? If you eat, let's say you eat asparagus and it's good for you, but then all you eat is asparagus, you eat a whole bunch of it, but you eat it all day for a few weeks, it's gonna end up messing up your stomach, right? It is
Con,
not good to eat much honey. So, so for men to search their own glory or their own honor is not glory or honor. That's like you're never gonna hear me or the brother Jomar say, "Oh man, did you hear the way we broke that down? That was so wisdom filled and that was so honorable. We have so much wisdom, right? We are so man. Look at us, we're wise." For you to search your own glory is not glory, right? You're never gonna catch a real man of the Most High, or even a woman. Like let's say there was a woman that I'm the best wife. Did you see the way I cooked? I do everything for my husband. I do it better than everybody else, right? That's not how it's supposed to be,
I saw
right?
it.
That
Salak.
goes back to go ahead.
I saw a I seen. Let me just say this. I seen an example of that in a video. And I only bring this out to kind of exemplify that it does exist. Not to just say it's just a proverb. It's because these things are real. And I was watching a
Con,
video of some brothers that were, bringing out the word, and one of the prominent members asked his whole crew. I'll call it crew because that's what it felt like. It was like a crew, and then they were like, "Don't I bring out blah blah blah? Haven't I brought out like haven't I cast out demons? Haven't I done this?" It's literally this, searching your own glory. It's like you gotta be humble and let others, let others kind of exalt you, which is righteous. Sure, we know that we have skill sets that we provide that the Most High gives us gifts, which we give back. However, there's a fine line. It's actually pretty defined, if you ask me, of when you're exalting yourself, looking for your own glory. Because sometimes you can't really like. Sometimes people they get their own nickname. Somebody gives them their nickname, and that's how like some of the best nicknames are given. Same thing with glory. Like can't give yourself
con,
your own glory. It's not yours to give. Glory is a description. It's almost like an attribute that you get externally. But yes, that is a real thing, and I've seen it where brother was like, "Hey, don't I bring out the best like this? Haven't I cast out demons? Can't I test the spirits?" And I mean, that's a real thing. That's why these proverbs exist.
I think I may know the brother you're talking about too. I'm pretty sure I'll ask you later if we're talking about the same brother. We're not gonna put him out there like that, but at the same time, like you said, some people say, "Well, this brother was talking shit." No, I'm giving an example, right?
Mhm.
Did all in the scriptures? Don't they say, "Don't be like Lot's wife"? They literally called her out. She was an example. It may seem like, oh, they're talking shit about Lot's wife, but then no, the Most High makes things happen to be examples of the scriptures because the scriptures are living and they are being played out right in front of us, right?
Con,
So Khan, that's a perfect example, and that goes back to I think we brought it out already, Proverbs 27:2, where it says, "Let another man praise you and not out of your own mouth."
con,
Right? If someone says, "Oh yeah, man, that lesson that was a good lesson," and then what do we say? Yeah, it was a good. No, we say all praise to the Most High because because all wisdom comes from him. All right, so let's read the last verse, and then I'm gonna have to get off here. I got something I got to do real quick.
Con. This is verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
So he that hath no rule, we've gone over this. I think we've done like whole lessons on this before, at least once. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't rule your own spirit, right, you're gonna be open to all these other spirits coming onto you, coming into you. Just like a city that doesn't have any walls back in the days, guess what? Anybody can just come and conquer that city. A whole army could just come. If you get Proverbs 16 and 32 out, Baba Kashal.
Con.
So you have to have rule over your city, sometimes over your own self, which is exemplified or symbolized by the city. Sometimes people come and they want to get you pissed off. The spirit that's on them wants to get you out of the spirit, right? Like the verse we always say in Mark 4:14 and 15, Satan comes immediately. They see her in the spirit. Oh, they were just studying. You know what? Let me hop up on this person and I'm gonna go tempt this person to get angry, to fornicate, to do whatever. So you have to be able to control your own self, or you're gonna be open to all these other spirits. You want to read that real quick, Art?
Con. This is Proverbs 16 and 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city.
So he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. A lot of people cannot control their anger, right? You're a mighty person if you can control your anger. And he that ruleth his spirit, than he that taketh a city. Someone can go conquer a city, right? How many cities has the United States gone and conquered? Thousands and upon thousands. Just look at, or not the United States, right? Let's say Edom, right? The nation of Edom in the Bible. They conquered the whole United States, Canada, Mexico, all Central America, South America, right? You if you can rule your spirit, you are more mighty than them. Because guess what? All of these people are wicked and abominations to the Most High, and they can't rule their spirit. They can't rule their spirit enough to live through the wisdom of the Most High, right? So being able to rule and control your own spirit makes you mightier than the majority of people on the earth today. You want to add anything to that?
Con, I think this is a really good one. Slow to anger, better than the mighty. As far as that city that is broken down, you can compare it to the temple, your body being the temple. You don't want that to be broken down and without walls. You want to have that fortified, have that strengthened, being in a spirit, slow to anger, patient. And the way you receive patience is obviously praying without ceasing, and taking advantage of the opportunities placed before you to practice patience, because that's the only way. And I'll tell you firsthand, um, I work in customer service in a very particular part of town, and it takes everything in me to be patient with the type of people that I deal with, and it is a trait that I've managed to work on and hone my skills in. So that being slow to anger is definitely very crucial. Easier said than done, but most definitely, all things are done with Christ, who empower us. So rule your spirit, so that, we can be greater than those that take a city.
Khan, most definitely. Adam, that's what you're talking about, right? Those type of people, that
Mhm.
type of city, that part of the city.
Yep. Yeah.
Kingdom minded. Go ahead and go ahead and ask your question real quick, Doc. Most High willing, we can answer it.
I don't know.
Right when
Praises
I
to them.
clicked on it, my computer froze up. Can you hear me, Ak?
And I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Khan, I hear you. My computer's still like it's frozen. Did he put his question yet? Because my computer's frozen out.
I'll let you know. I'll read it out if you can't see it. He said okay, so I'm assuming he's typing it right now. I'll read a few of the comments. Uh,
Okay, okay.
Bianca Betan says yes, hallelujah, Khan, all praises to the Most High. Brittany Russell Tawada, the scriptures are edifying. All praises to the Most High, most definitely. Most High supplied always. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. And it's beautiful to be a part of this platform with Kingdom's Path, um, who's always, exemplar and a very, very good example of how we should be studying and, always willing to help and just very open to correction, which makes it for a good brother to reach out with questions. Right now, he's not on Instagram, so I think he put his email towards the top if anybody has any questions. I know Kingdom Minded right now is might be typing his out. So yeah, let me see if I got any more comments here. Is it showing up on your side? Okay. I
Sorry,
got
can you
his
hear me?
question. Yeah, I hear you. I got his question. Can you hear me? I'll read it out.
Khan.
I'm still okay. So Kingdom Minded asked, I'm still dealing with part of anxiety, and I feel like I'm missing out on things like not having a family or kids, but the spirits tell me to go out and have a good time. Also, when that anxiety hits, it makes me to go and watch porn to stop the anxiety, which I hate. So, what can be some ways to handle this?
Okay. What time is it right now? It's five. What time is it your time, Ak?
It's 3:26 where I'm at.
Okay. Um, would you be available later tonight? Probably around let's see, it'd probably be 9 your time. Or we could do it later if that would work better.
9 works. Let's do 9.
Okay, Con. So look, what I'm gonna do is because Sabbath is gonna end in like less than 2 hours here. Um, and I'm gonna be training. For those of y'all who know, I have a small gym in the back of my property now. After that, after we're done at 11, wait, yeah, 9, 10, 11. At 11 Central or at 9, um, what is yours, Arc? The time? Is it like Central or
Uh,
Mountain Time or
9 your time is 7 mine. So 9 my time is 11
or
yours.
11 my time?
9 p.m. my time. Because right now
Okay,
it's
so
about to be
got you.
5:30 over there, right?
Con, it's about to be 5:30 here.
Con. Yeah, so 9 p.m. my time, Arizona time.
Okay, so yeah, at 11, we'll do a quick live. Well, I always say quick, but look, we're already 2 hours in on this one. Um, on anxiety, because there was a sister that had asked me about this a while back too, and there's some good precepts on that, on like anxiety or having. I guess you could say, what's another word for anxiety?
Um Anxiety and I don't I've personally dealt with anxiety, and with anxiety it's paired with depression. It's just it's kind of hard to encompass. um But yeah,
Con, to me, it's like a worry, like anxiety. When I felt it before, it's like you can't be at peace, like you can't be at ease. You know what I mean?
con,
So we'll definitely talk about that. We'll go into that. Yeah, worrying, con. It's just not being at peace, worrying, overthinking, like they're posting here in the comments. We'll talk about that and ways to overcome that. So at 11 Central, and then we'll get a little bit into the whole porn thing as well, because me and the brother Jomar have spoken on that before. That's definitely a spirit in itself, a heavy spirit to get off of you, but it is possible, right? And I can tell you that from personal experience, because when I was younger, I was really into that sort of thing, and I haven't seen porn for years and years now. So it is definitely possible to get that spirit off of you, and permanently, most high willing, right? So yeah, keep focusing. Brother, if you don't mind, can you tell me about growing a garden? Actually, me and my rib are planning, if we have time tomorrow, if not for sure this week, we're gonna show some of the things we planted, and then how to go about it. Won't be too long of a video, maybe 20, 30 minutes, but how to like prepare the ground, how to prepare the seeds, stuff like that. And that'll definitely be a good one, because yeah, we've been doing that. We're doing that right now. So that would be a good one. You got anything you want to say in closing out?
nah, the water for having me on. All praise to the Most High, and I hope this was edifying for you guys as it was for me as well. So, I'll let you get to it. That way you can do whatever you have to do, and then later on tonight, just keep me updated. Send me a text, and then that way we can get ready.
Okay, Khan, all praise to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. So this was the first one, the number one, I guess, video of chapter a day, keeps hashatan away, Proverbs 25. And like I said, we'll be on here a little bit later at 11 p.m. Central. And then tomorrow, most high willing, we'll do another chapter, whether it be just me or the brother, who whatever the spirit leads us to do. And then throughout the week, I'm just gonna do them whenever I have time. Right? It might be at 6 in the morning. It might be at lunchtime. It might be whenever I got time. Right?
Come,
So Shabbat Shalom, Ashar Shabbat to those of y'all who are keeping the Sabbath today. If not, Shalom. I hope y'all are still staying in the spirit no matter what. The water to the brother Jomar, as always, for helping out.
shalom.
All right. All praise to the Most High. Shalom.